What is up, everyone? What's up, everybody? Nate Hoyle here. The one and only, the only Nate Hoyle on Instagram or Facebook that's spelled this particular way. And you are listening to the Secret Restaurant podcast, so consider yourself lucky. And nice work finding it. Today is the 9th of July in the year of 2025. And spectacular happenings going on. It was really random. I got this morning I woke up to a solicitation of someone asking me to send voice samples, which I had never done before. And even worse than that, I don't even have any. So I got an email and then I had to figure out what the heck that meant or how to do it. And so I went all the way through recording clips of myself doing different voices because it's for different characters. So I had to show different characters or whatever. And so I went through all this time, maybe 2 or 3 hours, finding stuff to read and reading it and recording it. And then I look at the instructions again and they already gave me something to read. So I'm going to have to redo it all. That's why you don't just dive in. That's why you have to read the entire proposal. Don't worry, it is from a credible place too. Because I know people are always scamming and stuff. It is legit. I'm not going to say what it is. It's not a huge deal. But I'll say it would be kind of fitting if I were to get a gig like this because actually my older sibling, Kat Hoyle, actually did a 5-year radio show that was voice only called Unwell. It was a Southern Gothic. That was terrible. It was a Southern Gothic. But I don't think that has anything to do with me, my email or anything like that. It's completely unrelated. But I was just thinking it'd be that would make sense. The actorial gene. I was going to talk more about, so my older sibling, Kat, 2 years older than me, was actually in this huge production of Cats. Go figure, right? In Aurora. And that's over now, but that was over 3 months. I was going to talk about it and then I never did, but it was awesome. I saw it once. It was it had a real rock band in the pit with the dude playing guitar was shredding, dude. Real guitar solos, and it sounded like it was a real band in a pit, but it sounded as though it could have been a recording, how clean it was. But yeah, the production was the real deal. I never seen anything on Broadway, but I've seen a lot of plays. I've seen stuff off Broadway. I've seen pretty big productions of plays, and everyone in that performance, the singers and everything, was perfected. Great singers, and then they also included circus art, which is what my sibling is known for, contortion and silks and the hoops and the blah blah blah. I don't know any of the names of it, but enough about that though. Let's talk about me more. That's what I do on here. I don't know if anyone has noticed by listening to this podcast, but my setup is super high tech. My recording, super crisp, clean, and no outside noises. So that's that part I got all figured out for when I get my professional recording deal set up, is that I definitely have the most clean and professional sound. Now, I feel later today I'm going to have to go and find the least creaky floor and turn the air conditioning off and just sit there sweating trying to read these lines. I just use my phone microphone. I'm not buying a new microphone for just this. If I had a Sure Thing, I would get one. But, that's one of the struggles. It's difficult to explain to people, how tough it is to break through all the high budget stuff that becomes the norm. And then the dude who is just standing smack dab in the middle of Iowa, well, actually smack dab on the eastern side of Iowa, just creaking on the floor. It's tough for that guy, no matter how incredibly talented he is, to break on through to the other side, I'm probably going to die here, but I did have a good time kind of recording the voices. Maybe I'll attach it to the end of this just so that people can hear them instead of having to go somewhere else. But I posted them on my Instagram and YouTube Reels. But I did, first one I did Michael Scott from The Office. And then I did one of the opening narration from Big Lebowski. And then I did one of Wolf of Wall Street, but I did it more like satirically. Ooh, look at Nate using big words like satirically. There's that MFA coming into play. I'm trying to think what else I could say, because it was a bigger deal in my head than I started talking about it, and now it's like, okay, no one wants to hear you talk about this. What would be my dream job? I think for voicing things, I mean, I would love to do something with animation, and I've thought about doing my own animation, because I do actually do some. But it's hard to concentrate on something that, first of all, AI is taking over it. Horrible AI animation. And so now I feel like all artists are kind of competing with both AI and then also the fact that nobody looks at anything twice. Like you post something on YouTube. Yeah, I've been posting those animations of me reading poems. It's interesting because, I need to stop saying it's interesting. I say it's interesting after everything. It's fascinating. It's so fascinating to me that, and I even Googled it, searched it. Because all my videos, if I post a reel of a poem, of me reading a poem, and then an animation along with it, like as one video, every time it will go to, well, first it was getting like 2 plays, 6. And then finally I started to break through where it would get up to like 200, 300, and then a few of them got like 1,500, 1,100, 1,200. But they always stop at some point. And most of the time it's like they get 250, 300, and then they stop, and then they don't get any more plays. And I guess that's because the algorithm gives like a test of this base number of people, and if you don't get enough engagements or if you don't get enough comments, it stops at like 250 usually. But even when on the ones I've gotten up to like 1,500 or whatever, those ones stop too. So then how am I supposed to motivate myself to make a whole animation and then like put it on YouTube, and then it stops getting plays after the first day? Yeah, I might go cry about it. You know who had the best career in animation, in my opinion, though? Many will disagree with me, probably, especially because of the start of it. But Mike Judge is just like, he's the most badass dude when it comes to his career. I feel like just looking at those early animations and how they were so unpolished and so just like not trying to pander to a wide audience. Like literally his breakout animation, or the pilot that got his TV show on MTV, was of Beavis and Butthead playing baseball with a frog. That's the thing about those early Beavis and Buttheads. They're still kind of degenerate now, but the early ones, they were like way more destructive and dangerous, and they weren't as dumb, I feel like. Like the early ones, they were almost like conniving. So yeah, there was that one where they were playing baseball with a frog. Mike Judge had some other animations you can find on YouTube that are pre Beavis and Butthead that were sort of his tests or whatever. One of them actually did get turned into Office Space, with characters from Office Space. And then I think I've seen maybe 1 or 2 others that I don't really know if they turned into anything official. But I do think Beavis and Butthead is my favorite animated show of all time. I do love the comedy duo, and that one, there's just like nothing like it. King of the Hill is classic too, of course, and when I talk to Ariel, that's her favorite. She does not like Beavis and Butthead. Or whenever I watch it after like 1 episode, she's like leaving. Because, it gets into your head a little bit, all their laughing and giggling and their voices and stuff. Which Mike Judge, once again, he's the great animator and also the voice actor, so he's doing everything. He voices Beavis and Butthead. He voices the teacher in Beavis and Butthead. He voices that neighbor that they're always harassing, who is the same voice coincidentally as Hank Hill. But I love King of the Hill too, because that show is like so understated in like first of all, it's jokes. Like, it's jokes, they aren't meant to be for a laugh track, you know. They're like literally very smooth and understated. And they're not necessarily at the expense of the characters. It's more just like a commentary on like how funny people can be in a simple way. Or sometimes it's a little bit more outlandish. But I also feel like the plots too are very simple. They're very small town. They're very understated. It's not like going to be an action movie. It's going to be about like more common things, you know, square dances or Bobby befriending a rabid animal in the back alley. Actually, that one gets crazy. I just watched that one, but Dale thinks he gets rabies. He's like out in the woods with like a circle of sticks performing rituals. But yeah, Hank, just to go along with my rambling, Hank's so cool because I feel like he's the hero, kind of. I mean, he must be. His gigantic head is in the logo of King of the Hill, which means he's the hero, no arguing it. But I feel like he doesn't want to be the hero at all. In fact, I don't think Hank Hill wants to even be looked at most of the time. He doesn't want to be in the spotlight. And so probably that's why his son Bobby, who is constantly seeking out the spotlight and who is constantly being theatrical and grandiose, and that's usually to the dismay or terror of Hank. That's great writing right there. That's a great duo of writing two characters together, I think. I'm just imagining people thinking I'm incredibly wrong. So the slapstick comic relief characters would be Dale, definitely. What's their other friend's name? Anyway, of the four dudes, not Boomhauer. I can't think under pressure right now, but the other friend, he kind of is the butt of a lot of jokes too, just like Dale. And then Boomhauer's just, you can't understand him. Damn it, Bobby. No, I don't know what I'm talking about. But, you know, it's another great animation that I wish I could watch every single one of these days, is The Simpsons. I mean, I grew up with The Simpsons on TV and read the comics, but I am far from watching all of them. I think it'd be fun to, one of these days, get whatever streaming service that's on. I can't remember the name of it, but I actually wrote an article that they didn't want to pick it up. But it was like a list. You know, I make fun of lists. Every article online is a list. But I was trying to make one for this TV and pop culture website that was like the top 10 Simpsons products that people wish were real. Because that's one of the great things I love about The Simpsons is anything that's in our world, if you look at it in our world, The Simpsons have their own version of it. So, like, you know, Icy's here with like the flavored ice. That's called a squishy in Springfield, and you buy it at the gas station there. It's called the Quickie Mart. You know, they have their own baseball team. They have their own fast food chain. They have their own TV stars, TV doctors, everything that we have. If you look at it here, when you go to Springfield, they'll have it too, but it's something called something different that looks a little different. I wonder if they were one of the first cartoons to really go that far into it with that, because it's really genius. So yeah, if you ever see an article floating around online that's the best products in The Simpsons that people wish were real, I did not get paid for it, and they stole it from me. And you don't need to email me, just call 911, call the police, and tell them Chief Wiggum will be on the case. All right. What else can I talk about? I've been moving through the Harry Crews Gospel Singer book. I'm not finished with it yet, but I feel like I probably won't want to talk about it again to avoid spoilers. So, the Gospel Singer, Harry Crews, I talked about it once before. It's a 1969 novel about, you guessed it, a gospel singer. And one of the themes that's really shaping up to be the most interesting for me is about this gospel singer grappling with fame. And also, inherently, there's sort of a parallel here where he has this kind of, unbeknownst to him, he has a connection to God, right? He's a gospel singer. And he has this power that people come from far and wide to see him, thinking that he is kind of channeling something from the heavens. And I find that to be applicable kind of to artists all over the place now. I mean, the obviously one would be like, people say Beatle fever. That's like, 50, 60 years ago at this point. But Beatle fever, the idea of people going into hysteria, people losing their minds, people basically worshiping someone because of their talents. It's actually Beatlemania, I think. I was not alive then, or perhaps I was dead and hadn't come back to life, one or the other. But that's that those things happen still. People chase down celebrities and scream at them and go crazy at the sighting of them. This book is from 1969. I don't know how many more times I'm going to say that over and over, but it seems like it's important. So this gospel singer, and he's returning home to his southern small town, where word of his singing, word of his talents has remained escalating slowly there. And people have been waiting and waiting for him to come back. People have been talking about him, and his voice is known throughout the area. But the irony in his quote-unquote blessing is that he actually is pretty far from an angelic figure. In fact, I think he resents his perceived connection to God. And we see him actually do very sexually perverse things throughout the entire narrative so far. That seems to be his biggest vice. But I think the thing that is worth talking about, and they've brushed over it loosely, but a lot of this book is written in dialogue, a lot of it is written in scene, so it's not like they're really reflecting from a narrational viewpoint. But I think the one question that this is talking about is whether or not talent is God-given, and whether or not a God-given talent is more so a blessing or a curse, because his talent of singing has basically blessed him with access to evil and access to I'm not trying to sound like a preacher. It's hard to talk about these subjects without using the vocabulary. So I'm not all of a sudden switching over to this is a religious podcast. It's what this book is about. But there's a rumor that spreads that basically his voice and his singing, and even him as a person, has been gifted with healing powers. Like his voice can heal people, and a touch from him can heal people. And he didn't start the rumor. It was something that people started to believe was happening when he was singing, or the rumor spread. And so that it became that this gospel singer actually, his voice was actually literally sacred and angelic and could heal people. And so a lot of the book is about him grappling with that. And he takes advantage of his fandom more than once. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's too much else to say about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but I do think it's a good examination of fame, and it's a good examination of whether skills and talents are actually God-given, because a lot of people who are the most successful seem to believe that. It's easy for people who are really successful to believe that, or who are really talented to believe that, as opposed to just thinking that it was pure luck or pure chance. But then on the other end of it, like how many people use those God-given talents as a way in towards, promiscuity or manipulating people. It's an old book, but it's talking about things that are still probably happening all the time with musicians and artists today. So I wonder if there will ever be like another phase where people really start to read this again. Or I wonder if there are any famous musicians who it's a book that's resonated with them. I don't know. You say goodbye, and I say hello. Hello, hello. You say... Alright. I was gonna do some more talk of music, but I won't, because it seems ill-fitting in comparison to the book I was just talking about. So, not gonna do that. But I think I will add my little glamorous... little recording things, because I spent way too much fucking time on it and then found out I couldn't even use it. So another day tomorrow. Perhaps tomorrow will be the day in which it will actually be today. White Sox win today. You see that one? Beat the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm always pulling for the White Sox. I don't understand, I didn't grow up in Chicago. I'm not sure how serious the actual in-city rivalry is. It seems like some people who are really diehard sports fans of one or the other are like, ugh, fuck the Cubs, fuck the White Sox. But the way I see it personally, having grown up a Cubs fan, I just don't understand, if people live in a city, if they are supporting a city, if they're working in a city, if they're meeting people in a city, any win that the sports team of your city has is good for the city. If your sports team is doing terrible and nobody's going to the games or selling tickets, and therefore nobody's going to the restaurants around it, that's not good for your city. But if your team is doing really well, it's good for your city. So I support the Sox. I support the Cubs. I've been having fun watching the Cubs this year, obviously, because they are doing really well. But the Sox too, man. I feel like their team is going to be good in a couple of years. A lot of rookies, a lot of young players, and a lot of their batting averages of the main dudes are pretty well over 200. They're batting well. A lot of them, some of them not so well. Really young fielders who are making the plays, making spectacular plays. And the Toronto Blue Jays are one of the best teams in the MLB right now, and they pulled off a win after losing 2 today. So, yeah, I went to Rate Stadium where the Sox play. This was 2 weeks ago, and I went with my dad, and we sat up in the third deck and watched them defeat the San Francisco Giants 1-0. And it's funny because we went, it was hot as fuck out. And so we got out of the sun, we were walking around, this is all irrelevant. But went around to the other side of the stadium to get a look in the shade from just one of the gates. We were standing in the gates in the shade. And jokingly, I go to my dad, and because there's this batter. He's got a long name. I think you pronounce it Benintendi. Benintendi. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I jokingly go to him, he's going to hit a home run this at-bat. And then literally the next pitch or two, he hit a home run to right field. And that was the game-deciding run. It was 1-0. So, would you look at that? But yeah, I've got both White Sox and Cubs hats. And a lot of times they play at the same time on TV at the evening. And so if that's the case, if I'm watching one game, I'll have one hat on my head and then the other hat nearby, so that when I switch the game, I will switch hats so that whatever team is on, that's whose hat I'm wearing. For good luck. But for real, though, just to reiterate, the thing mainly about the rivalry between the Sox and the Cubs, White Sox and the Cubs, is literally both teams are in 2 completely different divisions. So what kills me the most is that literally most of the time, anytime the other team wins, if the Sox win, a lot of the time it's actually good for the Cubs. And a lot of times when the Cubs win, it's actually good for the Sox. The only real time that it's a huge difference is when they're playing each other. Otherwise, let's say, the Sox, who were they playing? They were playing LA a few days ago. If they had managed to pull off a win against LA, that would have been good for the Cubs, because then the Cubs would be closer to them in the... I know this isn't interesting, but just that whole cross-city rivalry thing. Like, I don't argue with it. I'm kind of arguing with it. I think that is true, though. Anytime the Sox win, unless they're playing the Cubs, it's good for the Cubs. Anytime the Cubs win, unless they're playing the Sox, it's good for the Sox. I think that's real. All right, I'm going to put those, attach those recordings to this just to show you how talented I am, my God-given talent. And then there's like a throwback episode, which I'll look at the name of it right now. It is a journey back in time to October 9th, 2024. So, close your eyes and you will find yourself back then, I guess. All right, I'll talk to you. Big Lebowski opening voiceover. Way out west there was a fella I want to tell you about. Fella by the name of Jeff Lebowski. At least, that was the handle his loving parents gave him. But he never had much use for it himself. This Lebowski, he called himself the Dude. Now, Dude, that's a name no one would self-apply where I come from. But then, there was a lot about the Dude that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And a lot about where he lived, likewise. But then again, maybe that's why I found the place so darn interesting. They called the city Los Angeles, the city of angels. I didn't find it to be that, exactly. But I'll allow it, as there are some nice folks here. Of course, I can't say I seen London, and I never seen France neither. And I ain't never seen no queen in her damn undies, as the fellas say. But I'll tell you what, after seeing Los Angeles and this here story I'm about to unfold to y'all, I guess I seen something. Something every bit as stupefying as you see in those other places. And in English, too. So I can die with a smile on my face without feeling like the good Lord jipped me. Michael Scott, The Office. I'm a busy man. When I give jobs, I don't have a lot of time for BS. So let's say some other dude comes in and sits where you're sitting, and he's interviewing for the same job as you right now. And he tells me, Michael, this job has been my dream job since I was a little kid. He tells me with tears in his eyes that he's wanted this job for his entire life. His whole life has been leading up to this interview. That's something I would respond to. Nothing is more important than enthusiasm, from the Greek word meaning enthusiastic, right? The only problem is you talk the talk, but you do not walk the walk. Okay, so that was global. I'll make it local for you. You didn't pass your forklift driver's test. But the foreman of the warehouse, just so happens, is a personal friend of mine. Okay, so don't sweat it. I'll get you in. Wolf of Wall Street voiceover.
My name is Jordan Belfort. No, not him. Me, yeah, there, that's right. I'm a former member of the middle class, raised by two accountants in a tiny apartment in Bayside, Queens. The year I turned 26, as the head of my own brokerage firm, I made $49 million, which really pissed me off because it was $3 shy of $1 million a week. No, my Ferrari was white like Don Johnson's in Miami Vice, not red. See that humongous estate down there? That's my house. My wife, Naomi there, the Duchess of Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, a former model and Miller Lite girl. Yeah, she was the one with my cock in her mouth in the Ferrari. So put your dick back in your pants, okay? In addition to Naomi and my 2 perfect kids, I own a mansion, private jet, 6 cars, 3 horses, 2 vacation homes, and a 170-foot yacht. Bah! I also gamble like a degenerate. I drink like a fish. I fuck hookers maybe 5 or 6 times a week. I have 3 different federal agencies looking to indict me. Oh yeah, last things first, I love drugs.